And now in our latest CNN poll among registered voters, which is the party of the middle class? It is tied.
When you cast the family as the enemy, as the problem, it's unsustainable. Well, we got some more bad news for Democrats, and we'll let CNN break this difficult news. Difficult for them anyway. Here it is. Watch.
When after the last few months, the first 5 months of the Donald Trump presidency, right, the first 4 months of the Donald Trump presidency, that you expect that Democrats would have this massive lead on the economy. It ain't so. It ain't so. The party that is closest to your economic views, in November of 2023, it was the Republicans by 11 points. Now it's still within that range, still within that margin of error. Plus 8-point advantage for the Republican Party. How is that possible, Democrats? How is that possible after all the recession fears, after the stock market's been doing all of this, after all the tariffs that Americans are against, and Republicans still hold an 8-point lead on the economy? Are you kidding me? If it was just this one CNN poll, that would be one thing. But take a look at Reuters Ipsos. What do we see here? Party with a better economic plan. Well, in May of 2024, just before Donald Trump was reelected president, Republicans had a 9-point advantage. Look at where we are now in May of 2025. The advantage actually went up by 3 points. Now Republicans have a 12-point advantage when it comes to the party with a better economic plan. And again, this is after months of supposed economic uncertainty in which the stock market's been going bonkers, in which the tariff wars that Americans are against have been going on. And yet, despite all of that, the Democrats are down by 12 points on the economy. This speaks to Democratic problems on the economy better than basically anything that you could possibly look at. The Republicans still hold an advantage on the all-important key issue of the day, which is the party of the middle class, has been a huge advantage for Democrats. I have polling from NBC going all the way back since 1989, when Democrats had a 23-point advantage. 2016, a 17-point advantage. But by this decade, we already started seeing declines back in 2022, where you saw that Democrats led, but only by 4 points, well within the margin of error. And now in our latest CNN poll among registered voters, which is the party of the middle class? It is tied. This, I think, speaks to Democratic ills more than anything else. They have traditionally been the party of the middle class. No more. Donald Trump and the Republican Party have taken that mantle away.
So it's all pretty striking. I'm not as shocked by it as CNN is, but it's still surprising in a way to see that trajectory on the question of which party is the party of the middle class. Have we ever seen a political party self-destruct to this extent? Have we ever seen this kind of sustained, cataclysmic nuclear meltdown by a political party? It's pretty amazing. It's like, it's amazing, like watching the Titanic sink. It's kind of an awe-inspiring sight. It's not, however, mysterious. It's like it's not mysterious why the Titanic sunk. It's the big chunk of ice. And it's the same with the Democrat Party. It's lost its title as the party of the middle class because it's spent the last 30 years, longer really, but certainly the last 30 years, doing everything in its power to make life worse for the middle class and for normal Americans of any economic class. And this is what happens when you support illegal immigration, when you facilitate and promote the replacement of American workers with foreigners, when you take the side of violent criminals over law-abiding citizens, when you deliberately try to break down law and order, when you deliberately try to make communities less safe, when you demonize the police, when you make our schools into left-wing indoctrination centers, when you start shoving sexual degeneracy into our faces, when you make transing the kids into one of your top priorities, when you take down the American flag and replace it with a pride flag, and on and on and on. All of this stuff obviously alienates normal Americans because it's either irrelevant to their lives or it's designed to make their lives worse. And most of it makes their lives in fact, actually all of the things I just mentioned actively makes the lives of Americans worse. And this is the fundamental problem the Democrats have. The fundamental problem is it's not anything to do with optics or anything like that. The fundamental problem is that all of their policies, their entire platform, their entire political program actively makes life worse for normal people. This politicians should be trying to increase the well-being of citizens, but they are decreasing our well-being. And, it's really that simple. It's the simplest concept of all. And when I say that politicians should be trying to increase well-being, I don't mean that they should be giving out free stuff or they should be trying to be our parents or anything like that. That actually decreases our well-being. But they should be concerned with improving the lives of the citizenry rather than making life worse. Like I said, it's pretty simple. And really the thing that alienates normal people from the Democrat Party the most is that normal people, normal American adults are most concerned with their families. That's the thing that most adults wake up worried about. As a husband and father, my greatest concern in life is my wife and kids. That's any loving father or mother, that's going to be the case. You're most concerned about your family. You're most worried about what's good for your family. And, well, the Democrat Party hates the family. It wants to dismantle it, wants to destroy it. It sees the family as a patriarchal construct that must be undermined and ultimately erased. And any analysis of the downfall of the Democrat Party, any analysis of the problems the Democrat Party has had that doesn't include this point is going to be a worthless analysis, which is why almost all the analysis that Democrats and liberals are doing, all the attempts on their own side to diagnose their own problems, that's why all of that is ultimately fruitless. Because none of them are going to point to this. None of them are going to say, oh, well, the Democrat Party is an enemy of the family, of the nuclear family. Because the moment that, as a Democrat or as a liberal, the moment you recognize that fact, well, that's the moment when you're no longer a Democrat, you're no longer a liberal. The moment you recognize, A, that leftism attacks the family and sees the family as the enemy, and B, the moment you recognize that that's a bad thing, it's bad to cast the family as the enemy. Well, the moment that you've done both of those things in your head, you're no longer a liberal, you're no longer a Democrat. So by definition, any liberal, any Democrat who's trying to analyze their own problems, they're not going to be able to, they won't land on this, which is the core issue, is that when you cast the family as the enemy, as the problem, it's unsustainable. It's just an unsustainable approach. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.